All right, Memo Podcast, episode 13. We have one of our really good friends, Brett, last name Taliaferro?
Taliaferro.
Brett
Taliaferro.
All right.
Memo's a cop. He likes to ask everyone for all their information.
You want to see my ID and shit?
No, dude, no.
We need social security, everything, dude.
We've been planning this episode for a while. Since I told you about the podcast, you're like, I'm gonna come on there. So
I eventually knew that I wanted to get on here and I wanted to talk and spread some
knowledge. Are you a
knowledge.
fan? Do you listen to any of them?
I've listened to quite a few of them. I haven't listened to all of them, but like, I knew that I was going to come on here eventually, but I'm going to listen to all of them.
Yeah.
Eventually I will.
They're long too, so I get it.
Like, I can't make it through all of them, but I'd will skim through, get the gist of it, but I'm definitely haven't seen
we
them all,
appreciate the view, man. So yeah, we're just gonna come up here and just talk about some random shit. I know there's a lot of stuff that you're really interested in that you wanted to get off your chest, kind of let the listeners know. So we'll go ahead and get into it. So what is it today that you wanted to come up here and talk about?
Something that I really wanted to talk about, and something I talk to like my parents and kind of anyone I'd run into about, is quantum mechanics and like what that is and what that's gonna do for us like in the future.
So this is something you're very invested in, then?
I've just been self-researching this stuff like on my own.
Oh, like
you don't go to school for this?
I don't go to school at all for this. This is all like my self-education stuff that I've like researched.
This is like your nerd side, like you can't get enough of it.
Side, dude. I just like it just interests me so much because of like one thing that happened, one experiment that happened, and it's what sparked like physicists around the globe to get deeper into this. They're like, why?
Okay,
why does this happen?
What is
That's how
what
I
is
was when
the
I was
experiment?
younger. I got into philosophy, and I literally on my own, like I just looked it up all fucking day, all night. And the biggest question was why, why is all, whatever, but that was like my study, my personal study.
What is the experiment that got you hooked?
This experiment is called the double slit experiment, and it blew my fucking mind. And
2 slits?
The double slit.
Double
slit. And
I
I'll try to explain it. It's hard to explain. They have like videos on YouTube explaining it, but like the basic gist of it is like, so when they send light through, like, if you send light through one slit, right, it's gonna go out and just be a beam.
Oh, dude, I think I've seen this. I've seen this, yeah.
However, light is like a wave, but it's not just a wave, it's also a particle at the same time. So when you put 2 slits in, these waves, when they go through both slits, it cancels out. So when you shine a whole ray of light through both of these slits, these waves cancel each other out, and it makes interferences. And
I saw a video of this, but it was with
This is like a do-it-yourself home test you could do right now, and this is what will happen.
Yeah, I mean, they do, like, they get down, because, like, once you get to the quantum part, why it's called quantum is because its definition is discrete, which is, like, small, which is why they, like, it's discrete and small, is why they call it quantum mechanics, because it's discrete mechanics, and it's at the smallest, tiniest, like, when you're looking at, like, the electron and the neutrons and the protons, but it's even smaller than that, because neutrons and protons are made of subparticles, which are called quarks, and quarks have negative quarks, and everything has a partner and a negative side. Everything has an opposite.
So this is like the very base of science.
This is down
the
at
bottom,
the finest point of science.
This is the abyss of science.
This is like, no one has answers to all the questions in quantum mechanics. No one knows. If you could answer why the double slit experiment does what it does, you win a Nobel Prize.
Really?
Really.
I saw the double slit experiment. Like, when when you told me what you wanted to talk about, I did a little bit of research.
Yeah.
And in the video I saw, they show, like, they had a thing, and they had 2 slits, but instead of light, it was water. And you could see the waves going through it, and the waves kind of cancel each other out. That's what I saw when I saw this.
Photons at their which is, like, basically, like, the smallest part of a light that you can get. They're, like, photons have the property of being a wave and a particle at the same time. But, like, the whole reason why they can do that is because of entanglement and superpositioning, the 2 most basic principles of quantum mechanics. So superpositioning is like the light being able to take all possible paths at the same time. So say, like, when light from that lamp over there is coming this way, it takes all paths at the same time. But, like, if you measure something in quantum mechanics, that's when is what's called, like, the wave function, it collapses. And then the wave is measured at that one point. Mm-hmm. But not until you look at it or someone observes it is it not, like, that point. It's in all places at one time. So, like, the double slit experiment helps explain what this is doing and like how it happens. So what they do is they send the electrons, they send light as like a whole beam. They send it one electron at a time, and this double slits. And what happens is it uses superpositioning and entanglement, and it goes through both slits at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So the light wave or light particle beam, the photon, goes through both slits at the same time and then picks one point once it gets to the wall that it hits, and that's why it makes the dotted interference, because you send electrons one at a time through both slits, it'll still make the same wave as if you sent all the light at the same time.
Really?
That's what blows everyone's mind, is that if you send electrons one at a time,
it will still hit the same.
It'll still make the same pattern as if you sent the whole wave at the same time.
So people have basically gotten nowhere.
No one
with
knows
this
why
experiment?
it does the same pattern when you send it one at a time as when you send it all at the same time. Theoretically, it shouldn't happen that way. Like, it should just be beams like falling like
It should
sand.
be random, right? It should be random,
like if
right?
you drop
Yeah.
sand from the top, like if you put it vertical or horizontal and you put like sand in the top of these two slits, sand would just fall in two piles, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what light does. And that's not like what light does if you send it one by one, like electron by electron.
It will.
It will always disrupt into this wave function, which it looks like a wave. So it's like intense in one spot and then lightens up, and then intense in the next spot and then lightens up, but it evens like a wave. You know what I mean?
And this is the experiment that got you.
This is the experiment
that got you hooked
into quantum mechanics and why.
And where did you find this?
Like just on.
Were you just high one time and you're
I'm literally on YouTube
man.
right now, looking at it right
Dude,
now.
look at it.
That's the
They
video
got-
I saw.
They got waves.
That's a
and shit
good video.
going
They
on,
put
like-
it in waves because that's like how lights work. And
This is Dr. Quantum.
Doc
No,
might be
okay,
saying
so
Might be saying that wrong. Dr. Quantum for anybody that's interested.
now
No, this
There's
shit
tons
does
of
look
YouTube
interesting.
before
videos and
before
stuff
we
you
go
can
any
get into.
further, when you say the word quantum, and I know someone else listening to it had the same thought. When I hear the word quantum, the first thing I think about is the Endgame movie, the Avengers Endgame, because they talk about Ant-Man. They talk about quantum, the quantum realm all the time. So, and you and me had a conversation kind of before we started recording that it's like kind of the same thing, but it's totally different.
So they get so what they pretty much kind of show you in the quantum realm, when he starts shrinking down and he starts getting into that quantum realm and everything's kind of like moving and there's all these abstract like figures kind of like just fluctuating is the word I'm looking for. They're just fluctuating and kind of like random shit's going on. That's what's happening around us at all times. There's invisible fields.
So that part's true.
That part's basically true, but it's called a gluon field, and this gluon field is what reacts with the opposite of like the quarks and the protons and neutrons. It helps transfer information. It also traps the energy. Like what we were taught in like chemistry class as kids was all wrong. Everything about electrons, neutrons, and protons, that's all thrown out the window now. All that shit's wrong. How it was displayed to us is all wrong, and it was so badly explained to us. And when I started learning about it, like once I'm out of school and stuff, I'm like, why did they even teach us like this way? It's
Just wasted
totally not right.
they wasted my junior year just teaching me about shit that isn't even true.
So back to the superpositioning and entanglement. Electrons use these two properties at their base to function. And every single particle is magnetically has a magnetic like north or south pole. So every single subparticle inside of protons and neutrons, like that's the thing about quantum mechanics, you're starting to get smaller and smaller and smaller. We're talking about subparticles and tiny particles that are like coming at the very base, and we're finding new ones like all the time. Like a lot of people know about the Higgs boson now. It's pretty like well like published and like popularized, and everyone talks about it, and it's like the newest particle that we've found that has its own field that interacts with all the other particles that gives us all our mass.
So are you like very educated? Like you're reading books and stuff on this, or strictly internet?
You know how many books I've read in my life?
How many?
The face he makes.
Maybe,
Probably more than I've read.
maybe like 3.
More than I've read.
Maybe like 3 or 5 or like a handful. It's like
That's what's awesome about the internet.
That's
Is that
like,
you can literally find everything
you don't
want
need
right
to read
there.
books to be educated. You get stimulated so much better by like videos and stuff. Reading obviously helps, with your language and being able to read itself, because it's like you've got to practice what you're trying to, practice what you play. But videos and stuff stick with people a lot easier than.
Oh yeah.
I want to
So
ask
that's why
you.
this entanglement stuff is so easy, or the quantum stuff is so easy for me to like.
I wanted to ask you, what was like one thing that you saw that they taught us in school that when you looked it up, you're like, wait, what the hell? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was the biggest?
Probably.
It's what we're talking about now, the quantum stuff, like the way the atoms are like displayed. That's not right.
Okay.
Right. Like atoms aren't just these little balls with the nucleus.
It's not no Jimmy Neutron.
No, nothing's revolving around like circles and like all pretty little rotations.
That's for science projects.
This in-game field, this quantum fluctuation field, this gluon field is fluctuating, and the way that it fluctuates, everything else is like the quarks have up quarks and down quarks, which like they're positive and negative. Like everything has a positive, negative, and the entire universe transverses on this information by being positive, negative, and it allows it to like talk across the whole universe. And it's insane, which is entanglement. Entanglement means like if particles are entangled, and you pull these particles apart and you take them all the way to the opposite side of the universe. As soon as you look at one, it becomes like, so basically being entangled is like two things, like say these two beers, like you have a Budweiser and a Dos Equis, you entangle them, now they're not like one or the other, they're both the same thing. But you can take them and send them all the way across the universe. Yes. If you look at one, you observe one. If a human observes one at one end, it'll be measured as one of those two. It's 50-50 chance, right? 50% chance of being either one. Soon as you see that it's the Dos Equis or the Budweiser, you know instantly that the other one is the other, right? Einstein theorized in his theory of relativity that information cannot travel faster than light, and that is faster than light. It is instantaneous, and that's what quantum computers do. That's what electrons do. That's what neutrons do.
See, I always was under the impression that light is the fastest.
It is. It's the universal speed limit. Einstein said it's a universal speed limit. Nothing can go faster than it. Nothing. It's hard to even get close to that because like mass, which is, we now know that the Higgs boson helps control mass, and light doesn't interfere with the Higgs boson, which is why it's massless, and that's why it can travel the speed of the light, is because it doesn't interact with this invisible field called the Higgs field, because it doesn't have a charge. Anything that has a charge, positive or negative, is going to have a counter charge, which helps, and then it interferes with all the other fields, which is a magnetic field. Everything's connected by magnets. Everything. Every atom, every electron has a magnetic field around it, and it's interacting with all the other atoms at a quantum level, and that's why everything works.
You know how high you have to be to understand what he's saying right now? Like, that is ridiculous, bro. That is crazy.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I get out there and I YouTube this stuff, and I watch hours and hours of just random videos there and talking so detailed, specific about some of this shit, and I just soak it up, and I'm like,
I definitely had my faces.
What would you do if you solved that fucking problem, dude?
I would, dude. It's like,
just
I just hope that
just
by my
YouTube
ignorance,
research,
just by my luck of ignorance, that I could just come in there dumbly by and be like, why didn't y'all think of this idea? Like when you're thinking too hard about something, and then someone from the outside world with a different perspective comes in, and they're like, why didn't you think of this?
They're Charlie from Always Sunny, where he's pointing at the fucking thing, and his hair's all fucked up. Dude.
Exactly.
That's them, and then Brett just walks in.
I'm
Why didn't you just put this over here and flip that over there?
I wanted to ask you.
It gets even crazier is that, like, when I talk about everything has an anti-something, we now know that antimatter exists. We now know that energy is not just energy. There's a negative energy.
There's negative energy.
And there's dark matter. And there's so much other stuff out there that helps explain the equations that we have now. And that we can do certain stuff, like we can time travel. That's
what I was gonna ask you, dude. Okay, I'm glad you brought it up, because
travel backwards.
Okay. So let me finish my thing, and you could.
You're saying we could go forward and talk.
Okay, so this is what I was gonna say. When I hear quantum, like we said with Ant-Man and the Endgame, what do? They use it to time travel.
I think of the show Flash.
And it could be possible, but we don't know enough about the quantum. Like, we're just now finding out that there's invisible fields that each particle is attached to, and they interact with each field, and all that comes together. But, like, we're just finding out that there's these fields out there, and we find another one every so often years.
So in the movie, they use it to time travel. You're saying there is a possibility to time travel, but we'd only be able to travel forwards. We can't go backwards.
The only reason why we can travel forwards is because we leave our space-time. Space and time, Einstein found out through equations that those two are connected. Space and time are connected. They're affected by each other. Mm-hmm. Space and time and gravity. Mm-hmm. Gravity affects time. So, gravity affects time even so much so that if you are at the top of a skyscraper, your day goes by faster than if someone was at the bottom working on that skyscraper. Your day goes by faster.
How
because gravity is affecting you more because you're closer to the core of the Earth at the bottom of that skyscraper than you were at the top. So at the top, you're technically further away from the center of mass, which gravity is having to try harder to pull on you.
Damn.
So technically, and the higher up you are, the faster time goes. Which, if you could go to, like, you know, in, like, Interstellar, when they go to that other planet for a little bit, and then like, fucking, like, 30 years passed, it's because they were by a black hole. The black hole has the most intense amount of gravity, like, that we know of so far, that pulls together, and it pulled all the time, and the time in that sphere, the time-space is, like, way spread out. Like, our Earth has, like, a small time-space little sphere. It's like if a ball was in a blanket, and what that blanket made, like, that's how they describe time-space. It's like, that's where the gravity, and that's where we're affecting our time. Mm-hmm. So that black hole was huge, like, huge ball on a blanket. I mean, it goes so far, and it pulls so much harder, and it takes so much more time.
This is kind of off topic, but since you brought up black holes, do you think we'd ever be able to see what's at the end of a black hole, or there's no possible way for us to ever see?
We're getting closer every day.
Yeah. You think so?
I've looked this up, and, like, what happens if you go through a black hole and shit like that.
They say you get spaghettified. That you go through, and you start going through, and you go through so
how would we know
that it's slow.
How would we know, though? We've never actually... No one has ever been in a black hole, so how do we know?
They use physics. They use math. They just use math. They use math. They were like, if you put this mass of an object going through this part, what would happen to this little thing would be that the feet of you, your toes would go in first, and they would shrink up into, like, a singular fucking electron quantum.
You get, like,
getting down to, like,
almost
a
like
quantum.
a vacuum. You get sucked.
You get sucked up into a singular little, tiny little piece, but it happens so fast that it's slow. The faster you go, the slower things happen around you, and outside observers
I've seen that in movies.
Slower.
In movies, when they're traveling fast, everything around them is, like, moving really, really slow because they're going
like
so
Flash,
fast.
That's what I'm saying. Whenever you bring up quantum, the first thing I think of is Flash, because they do a lot of. I mean, the whole show is about, like, scientists and shit like that, but they do a lot of time travel in that show, and there's multi-universes and shit like that.
That's another thing we had.
But I wanted to give some free promo out. I want you to see the movie "See You Yesterday" on Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen the preview, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie. It's a Spike Lee joint, but I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with this. But it's about two teenagers that figure out time travel, and they're able. I think they go back in time, but they go 24 hours, and they can only spend 10 minutes to, like, redo their mistake. They can only spend 10 minutes of their time in there before they have to, they jump right back into present time.
So wait, so why would... Okay, so I understand why you said we could travel forward, but why not backwards? Why do you think we'd never be able to travel backwards?
Well, possibly, but it takes, like, a certain type of energy. Like, equations that we have now, we have equations for a lot of shit, and we're like one of the equations is to warp time and space and make like a warp drive, like you've seen and stuff, warp drive and whatever. Like, we have equations for that. Like, there's a real equation that works physically, except there's one catch, is that you need negative energy. Mm-hmm. And we don't really know how to harness negative energy quite so well. We could get basically like nothing compared to what we would actually need. Like, you need so much of the stuff that we don't know really how to harness it. And negative energy is kind of like if you had two boats on like a body of water and it was completely flat, right? You know this gluon field that I was talking about, which is like the fluctuating space. Like everything is always fluctuating. There's nothing ever not somewhere. Like everything, there's enough energy in a single point to like power everything at all times. But we don't know how to really tap into these invisible fields yet. But it's always fluctuating, right? Mm-hmm. So these two boats, no matter what, like this is an experiment, another experiment for negative energy. These boats will come together and they will push together and push together and push together with no outside forces anywhere. It just happens because the negative energy is produced by the outside energy of the boats is more than what's inside the boats. So there's more of that fluctuation outside of the boats than on inside, so it gets overcome. And the negative energy is produced from in between because it's going away without any outside forces. So it's like,
so we don't have enough negative energy.
There's someone trying to do it, and they've tried to do it, and they've collected a little tiny minuscule amount. It would take like millions of these.
So we wouldn't see this in our lifetime. You don't think?
Maybe.
You think so?
Maybe.
Okay, because I was gonna ask you, what do you think?
Growing, and
what do you think of the science behind?
If my dumbass knows this much stuff, like there's some smart guy out there.
Oh,
like,
imagine.
He's killing
and off YouTube videos too.
He's killing what he knows.
My question is, when it comes to the time travel, about traveling backwards, what do you believe, or do you believe in the science of it when they say, like we've talked about multi-universe, or we were going to talk about multi-universes. So it's like kind of like the butterfly effect. You go back in time and you mess something up, and it creates a different multi-universe. So do you believe in multi-universes?
Maybe. It's hard to say. I mean, quantum mechanics is like, it's easily explained if there's a multiverse involved. Because like the reason why things are allowed to talk at great distances, like why entanglement is possible and why Einstein thought it was impossible because of the speed of light, like stuff can't transverse at the speed of light. The reason why it is possible is because it's not certain. Mm-hmm. There is a probability of these things. So there's a 50% chance it would be the Dos Equis bottle. It's a 50% chance that it would be the Budweiser bottle, but the universe does not know. Mm-hmm. Universe does not know, and its ignorance allows for this information to travel this far. Mm-hmm. Because there's a possibility and that there's a separation of choices and that there's a different, version of each thing, which is what makes like the information able to travel, and it's all about information. Everything's information. Like all these protons and neutrons, they trade information with each other with these magnetic fields going up and down, and they all interact with a different field, which makes everything's information trading with each other, which is why the universe is itself today.
Mm-hmm. So is a multiverse different from, and it probably sounds stupid, but is a multi-universe different from an alternate universe? It's like, you know how in movies they have like there's an alternate universe. Is there a difference between the two? Or are they pretty much the same thing?
I think they're supposed to be the same. I think it's alternate is just a version of a multiverse. Mm-hmm. Alternate is just meaning a different one, like a sub and one off of this one.
I think maybe in
a model,
I think in a different universe, I'm probably like not albino. I'm probably like tan,
maybe
with black hair, just tall.
Infinite possibilities. The multiverse
tall,
is supposedly
Memo just wants to be tall, dark, and handsome, dude.
Everything's supposed to be infinite, so it's infinite possibilities. There's infinite amount of chances that everything happens. Like this table became a table by an infinite amount of like possibilities. It just happened to become a table. Like you choose a choice every day, which at this size, like we're not quantum, so it's like it's different. Like it's not like one or the other. We actually get our own choices and stuff. It's kind of different. But at a quantum level, it's like it's so hard to like try to explain, like because it's uncertain, which why it makes everything possible, which makes no sense, honestly. Like to an average person, that makes no sense. Because you don't know the answer is why that I'm able to share the information.
Why there's different possibilities, because we don't know it.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know any. We're finding something new every day. The Hadron Collider, if anyone knows anything about quantum physics, they've known about the Hadron Collider and what it does. And what it does is help us find new particles, which is how we found the Higgs boson. And it's just by sending particles like 99.99996 point the speed of light, and we're smashing particles into each other and seeing how many pieces come out, and we're looking to see like what they decay into. We can't actually see the particles. We have to like look at their decay rates and then do a bunch of stupid math on how to figure that out. This stuff is.
I was gonna say I failed at math. So some of the stuff you're saying is just going over my
It's
head.
theoretical. Like, I'm not even getting into the math. Like, I saw an equation the other day, which was he said that it was the equation of everything we have today. That everything could be solved by this one single equation. From gravity. Where did I put that? Here it is. Tell me how crazy this thing looks to you. This is the equation of everything we know today. Physics, electromagnetics.
That looks like gibberish to me, bro.
Gravity's in there, speed, velocity, EMs, everything is in that equation.
Hell no, man.
You could technically figure anything out
with that one
with
equation.
This one equation.
Send me that. I'll post a picture of it in the video.
I'll send it.
Yeah.
No, I'll send the link that it came from because it came from YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, so if someone wanted,
I just wanted to study it, man.
If someone wanted to get into the quantum, the basics of it, what would you recommend they look up?
Entanglement and superpositioning. That's the first two things that you have to know what is. Like, do you understand what those two things are? Could you kind of like recite it back what superpositioning or entanglement is?
The one you're talking about, the beers, separating them, telling which one you assume one's the other. Yeah. Someone.
So, like, superpositioning is basically like, say there's a suitcase full of money in a hotel somewhere.
I like where this is going.
Okay, you guys like money, right? All right. So we're going to go look for this money, right? A classical computer or a classical anything or a person would have to go room by room by room by room by room by room until you found the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Superpositioning is being able to split yourself up into a million or how many ever rooms there are and go to all of them at the same time. Take one route, take all the routes at the exact same time. That is being superpositioned.
Sounds like some Doctor Strange type shit, bro.
It is what quantum objects do. That is what electrons do before they interact with something, and then they change, and then they go to that, and that's why an electron gets taken away here, and this element turns into something else, and that's how all chemistry works. It's all superposition. Like, these electrons are in a superposition around their elements. Like, we have superposition electrons around us at all times. It's invisible. We can't see this. What was that? Dude, I tell you, I get on these tangents. Superpositioning. And then the second one is entanglement. The ability to talk between all these superpositioned paths is being entangled. So all these paths are entangled, which means they all talk to each other. So as soon as one of these paths finds the money, instantly all the other ones know that they don't have the money. Here's the money. Problem solved. There it is. It's done. But any classical computer, or if a person had to do it, it's one by one by one by one. It's so much less efficient. That's why they're trying to find uses for classical computers. But classical computers probably won't ever be seen in, like, your home. You won't ever probably use, like, a quantum computer in your house.
Well, why would the average person need that in their home in the first place?
They don't. Only organizations would really need it.
Yeah.
Only with, like, mass amounts of data, probably like servers and stuff. Like, it'll make our networks like fucking. We'll never have like bandwidth problems ever again.
Mm-hmm.
We'll like internet will be super badass. Like, one of the issues now is with networks, and I'm taking this new networking class, and thing with networks is like they have to sequel. They have to do like one thing at a time. Once like one thing starts, it has to like complete this whole line of data that has to go through to this one little router or so, and then it has to go to the next router and the next router to get all the way across to get your website to your computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that was being able to take all routes at the same time, and once it like say it ran into traffic here, ran into traffic here, ran into traffic here, ran into traffic, but one of these routes went all the way through no problem and went all the way to the designated route of where it was supposed to go, and then all the other ones would know, they would collapse and the wave function would end here and you would get your website. And it's also supposed to be the most secure and encrypted way of like sending data or messages, and that's why a lot of people are really interested in quantum encryption. Is actually what's called quantum encryption, which is like, well, you have to use quantum software, which Microsoft has made the first quantum software, and they're trying to implement it and get people to learn it and stuff, but not a whole lot.
So this is a real thing. Like, it's kind of moving fast.
Oh, it's moving real fast. Like, people 10 years ago thought that we wouldn't get this far, like nearly this far. Like right now, like they keep shortening how long they think it'll be before we have our first quantum computer, but I think we're quite at like a good stamp. But it'd be like 10, 15 years before we
Yeah.
actually have a first computer. Maybe.
I mean, the
And
technology, even the
for more
technology,
like businesses, it won't be.
It won't be for us. It'll be for businesses to process, but it'll make so much more stuff possible than we ever thought. Like GPS, I mean, just so many behind the scenes processes that other companies use to like process data, and they need to be faster at it. And if they were faster, they would make things faster, and you could get.
And is this a good thing or is this a scary thing for businesses?
It's
for competing wise.
It's a good thing for businesses, a bad thing for people, because it's just going to make everything more automated, less jobs for people probably.
well, I mean, we're already getting taken over by the damn robots whenever
and the AI
you go
is
and
getting
they have
out of control.
Yeah.
We're not even in quantum stuff. Like, the only cool thing about quantum, like, all this quantum information, when you're talking computers, is like, we use bits now, which is a on-off. 2 values, 1, 0, on, off. Everything talks with a yes, no, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quantum, which they use qubits, which have a variety of values of 1, 0, 1, 0, which is like 4 1 zeros that can alternate at the same time, because it uses all that superpositioning, entanglement stuff that we talked about, and it takes advantage of that to be able to use more values, because like basically they use like what an electron does is it uses a spin, so like it uses a direction, and the electron also has a spin. So electron also has a direction and a spin, and it can be up or down, and the direction can also be the opposite way, up or down, which gives it more values than a yes or no. More values than a 1 and 0, which makes it better. Calculates more stuff.
Because we're already, like I was saying, we're already being taken over by robots whenever you go to the grocery store and you see no cashiers, it's just straight self-checkouts. So at one point you think these computers are just going to take over most of the jobs, like stuff like like fast food, for example. They probably won't even need us. They have the robots make all the fast food.
They won't need someone telling the orders from back and forth. You won't need someone at the window.
That'd be nice.
You won't need that girl giving you attitude at the window. It'll just be a robot. You get consistent.
Dude, I was at McDonald's and I didn't even. Dude, I was at McDonald's and they didn't even have like they had a cashier obviously, but they're like, place your order here, and it was like a big computer in the middle of McDonald's, and you just walk up to it and place your order on the computer.
They're on the cusp of the technology, man. They're on the move.
God damn, bro, the
Damn it,
computer's
Mickey
trying to take
D's.
my job from me, bro.
Damn it, Mickey D's.
And this is something you definitely wouldn't have seen 10 years ago.
Nope.
Yeah, no, the technology, like I was saying before, the technology is going quick. Like,
Technology
even in
is
our
going
lifespan, the technology is going by hella fast. Like
10 years ago, internet was barely a thing, and people were barely knowing how to use it. And the worst part about the internet is that we set it up so badly. We set it up so we didn't expect it to get as much popularity as it did. It was
bro,
actually
we
made
rely
for
on the
government.
internet for everything. We rely on the internet for everything now.
It was only made for the government, for wartime, for the Cold War, and for universities to talk to each other. That's what it was for originally. And there was like so little people using the internet that it was like you could put it all on one piece of paper.
You know how many useless facts I use the internet for? I'll be like, yo, how old is such and such? And I like click Siri. Siri, how old is George Washington? Or how old is George Bush?
Gucci Mane have?
Yeah, like use all this useless information on the internet. We just use. We don't need it, but we rely on it so much.
You know what's really cool about the internet? Is that when you search something on the internet, it transcribes whatever you search. You search YouTube or Gucci Man on YouTube, and it puts that into numbers. It puts it into an IP address, and that IP address is located on some computer out there somewhere on the server, and that's how you get to that website.
Oh, wow.
So Gucci Man has his own number.
Gucci Man, everything has its own number, and it's converted by what's called a domain name server.
Okay, so this is one thing. You and me, I remember one time we were drunk at a bar,
where is this
and I was
server?
asking you. Hold on, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You and me one time, you and me were drunk at a bar one time, and I was like, bro, there's no way that they can hold all this information on one server, but you're saying there is.
Perhaps. If they wanted to, if they have the hardware to do it and keep it, they can. They can do it. And how servers work is like, we don't really know what a server is, like, by definition. Servers basically are applications for computers. So there's not just one server that does something. There's a server that does a certain application, like your Skype, like playing Call of Duty, like Google Chrome, everything. Like the DNS server is solely just to turn our English into numbers so that it can locate the computer that website is located on and connect those two computers.
So when they say Twitter is down, they're talking about the certain server that holds all that information.
Yeah. That computer is actually turned off or down.
What about
the computer that holds that IP address with that data on it so that you guys can connect, and how everything sends everything? Like when you click on a link, you send packets back and forth, and it happens so fast and so kind of efficiently now. We're getting better and better, and I think we should probably find a new route for it. But
what about, like, me and Jose talked about on the last episode, we talked about when Lil Wayne put out his album, Spotify crashed. That's the same thing. There's so many people, there's so much traffic trying to get on this one server that it just can't handle it.
So basically what I just said, those packets, they all ran into each other. All those packets in the cloud trying to get to that one server, which the server could be big and have multiple ports to where it can let in a lot of traffic, because these kind of things are like kind of made for that. But if there's too much, these packets are colliding into each other and they mix and they garble up, and it makes it like a different code, and the code doesn't make sense and the computers can't do anything with it. And depending on how much traffic happens, like it's supposed to send a signal back to the computer that it came from and be like, we got this and like this happened, and then this computer is supposed to process that and be like, well, I sent all of these numbers, only this came back to me, and then it like now we'll start sending the one right after the one that sent me and try and fix it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it starts trying to fix it. But if that happens so many times, and what if the right information doesn't get back to the right computer, and that's when like all the trouble goes down. That's why a crash happens, because everything goes to the wrong place and all the data gets
That's
mashed up.
crazy, bro. I've never thought about how that stuff works, but now talking about it, it's crazy to me. It's so easy for me to just log on to Spotify and click on something, but now that I think about it, it's like it's going to like a server so I could listen to a certain song. Like, it's just crazy.
What it's actually doing is it's going to your Wi-Fi, which now we have routers which do a bunch of stuff that back in the day stuff didn't used to do. Like you'd have multiple machines for everything. So our routers now are what's called a switch, and a router, and a firewall. So the switch tells you which data is for which computer in that network, which is called a subnet mask.
Mm.
So all the like, instead of having an IP address for every single like phone, like a unique one for this phone, unique one for your computer, unique for every single device.
It all uses
it uses a router. So your router has a unique IP address, and then it gives all your other things that are connected to this router unique ones to that, but they could be the same as like your neighbor, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't matter as long as it's within this subnet. Like, it only cares about the router's IP address.
Mm-hmm.
And all these ones can have whatever numbers they want, as long as this machine knows what they are and it gives the right data to the right computer. But so this has to go to the switch, and then the switch goes to the router, which the router's connected to the internet, which is a huge cloud of data, which is connected to a bunch of servers, and it's just a big web of a bunch of computers connected to each other. The internet is nothing but computers connected to each other.
So do you think all our information that we have on our phones and on our computers...
It's easily accessible, sir.
It's all stored though? Like, is all the information we have... is all the information we have stored?
You scared me a little bit with that face.
It's all our information... Like, anything I've ever typed
I'm
up...
scared for myself, man.
Anything I've ever typed up online is stored somewhere.
Yep. They have something called blockchain, which is like a prescribed list of everything happening in real time with timestamps. So basically, like, if anything's run by blockchain, everything, every command, every click, every keystroke, everything is in a command with a timestamp. Like, so you type in this command. If you're doing commands, or if you're doing like a user integrated user interface, then you're clicking and stuff like that, and it'll record that stuff and put it down with a timestamp. So, and it's permanent. You
Jesus.
can't get rid of that.
So they know how many
technically-
times a day I watch porn.
Yeah. They know
How many times a day do you watch porn?
I was just giving an example. They'll be like, all right, 2:00, 2:05, 2:08.
Damn.
Like, they
You
just-
had multiple windows open. Damn, dude. How many monitors you got?
Going back to how much technology has changed, just like in our lifetime, technology. You and me and Jose all lived in in an age where we had dial-up internet, and kids nowadays will probably never know what the hell dial-up was or the struggle that it was to, hey, get off the phone, you know what I'm saying? I'm on watching whatever. So, the internet's changed from dial-up since then.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did they do it back then?
It's basically the same principle, just more efficient now.
It's more efficient.
Yep. To all my dial-up people back in the day, y'all remember those little windows when you would load something? You know how it would start on the left side, and this little bar would get bigger, right?
Slowly
bigger,
but surely,
but then it would have a slit in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then another slit, it would go and then fill up to a bar, and then a slit, and then a little tiny bar, and then a slit.
I remember those names.
Those are the packets. That is visually the packets transferring from one machine to the other. Because the packets, it sends one, like a probe packet, over to the other computer to send the data. Say you want to receive this YouTube video. This YouTube video, your computer is going to go out, and then you're going to click on this link, and to get this video, the data's going to have to come from the YouTube server, whatever they're running on. They're running on probably Amazon Web Services right now. So it's going to send one packet over first as a probe, and then that machine is going to send back, like, I got one packet. And then it's going to send 2 packets. And then it's going to be like, I got 2 packets. And then this one's going to send 4 packets. And then it's like, bro, I got 4 packets.
You guys hear the science behind this?
And then it's going to go, I got 8 packets. And it's like, and then it doubles and doubles and exponentially goes up higher.
Just by clicking on this one YouTube video you're listening to right now, this is what all went into you
send this
being able to watch this video
into motion. This is being delivered to you packet by packet, which is ones and zeros broken down from the digital video. Or
you know what that means, dude? That means I have my own number because
You
I'm
do.
on the online. I have
You
the
have
Memo
your own
podcast.
ID.
So I have my own ID number online.
If you go to the domain name server, you could find out what your IP exactly is, or you could probably find it out just by doing some little
Google
terminal
search.
coding.
Damn, I have my own number, dude. That's crazy.
You definitely have your own IP address, and you rent it out from YouTube, basically. YouTube's a free service, and that's why they have their servers, and they let everyone borrow IP so that they can, make content and put it on the internet. But that's basically what you're doing. You're renting in a little IP address so that everyone can
What the hell?
connect to it on a server out there.
That's
But
crazy.
there's servers that do tons of stuff. There's literally servers that have to be there so that there has to be a receive server called an ATP and then an FTP, which is like the FTP is like the one that you send out and you send out the data, and then the ATP is so that you can receive data from like another one. So you have to have servers in place so you can do these things, and you have to have another server to process the domain name so that you can talk to the website, and then you gotta have the web server, which is called an HTTP8 or HTTP server, and it's gotta have its own thing. And dude, it goes down. If you want email to be involved, it's a whole other thing. It's a whole new server. It's an application. It's like Google Chrome. It's like, you're playing whatever kind of.
Bro, you have too much time on your hands, bro.
Dude,
you be looking.
I know too much stuff.
Yeah, you be looking at way too much stuff, bro.
All I do is just
You just get high and watch YouTube videos.
basically.
And when did this start? How long ago was it that you started?
Just learning this quantum mechanics stuff. I've been doing it for a little bit, probably a few years, but not that much more time. Just every now and then. But lately it's been a lot because I've been getting. The more I learn about it, the more I want to know more about it, because it's. Eventually, I run into walls of questions of people no one knows. They're like, well, if you can figure this out, then good for you. You win a Nobel Prize. That would be super dope. If you could get past these barricades that humanity, Einstein couldn't even figure out.
Let me ask you.
So it all comes to it. All these theories and stuff all come to a dead end.
They all come to dead ends that we can't answer yet, but there are answers to them. We just don't know the math yet.
We
We're
don't
just
know the
finding
answers.
more and more. We don't have all the pieces.
I was gonna ask you. This probably doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but
I'm cool with that.
do you know what the dark web is?
Yep.
Okay, so how does the dark web work related to what we are talking about? Because the dark web is essentially they can't track your IP address. Is that right?
You could technically hide your IP address from anyone at any time. Anyone can. It's called a VPN. You get this VPN, it technically hides your IP address and pretends that it's another one somewhere else in some other part of the
Oh, wow.
globe. And it's basically having an encrypted login and it gives you a encrypted tunnel. You could actually access your stuff at home from another computer or your phone and have full access to all the applications on your home desktop. Or if it was a corporation, you would have full access to this whole corporation of facilities and applications and everything just by signing in through a VPN anywhere, because it's remote access, and you can also do it at your home place to discreetly, like hide your IP address so that no one knows where your processes are coming from, like what your code's coming from,
Have you ever been on the dark web at all?
No, I have not, because as soon as you get on the dark web, you get put on a list, most likely, by the FBI or CIA.
I've never been. I'm too much of a chicken shit to get on the dark web. I've heard some horror stories about that shit. Yeah.
Supposedly 70% of the internet 70 to 80% of the internet is the dark web, and that the Google that you see and Yahoo.
It filters a bunch of stuff out. Yeah, it filters a bunch of stuff out.
It's 20% of the internet, but everything, majority of the stuff is selling kidneys, contract killers, and drugs. And
no, dude, do not get on the dark web, dude. You're gonna put us in a horrible space. Have you heard any of the horror stories about the dark web?
I'm learning more about networking and about hacking and what people can do to see what you're doing. So I'll know eventually if you download a dark web browser, if you could be put on a list. I'll know that eventually.
Okay, so you already brought it up. You're taking classes. You're taking classes. You're taking classes in about the internet, right?
Yeah, just IT cybersecurity.
Okay, so before we started recording, you told me that you've already within the first 2 days, you've already learned pretty much how the internet works.
Yep.
So what we're talking about right now, you just learned in those 2 days?
I learned in 2 days.
What the fuck, bro? 2 days.
My networking experience comes from 2 days.
Jesus. And this is just 2 days. We'll have to have a follow-up podcast when you finish the class. You know what I'm saying?
Let's do the post-summer podcast.
Oh, this is summer class?
Yeah, it's summer class.
Damn.
I'll be done in maybe 8 weeks.
No wonder you know so much in 2 days.
I mean, my professor tried to teach it, and he left out so many important details that I had to teach myself. I went to YouTube, naturally, and
YouTube is your friend, dude.
YouTube's your friend.
You can literally do anything on YouTube.
I went to YouTube, watched a couple hour videos, and I'm probably past all my classmates right now.
Dude, you could do anything on YouTube. I learned how to tie a bow tie on YouTube. You could do anything on fucking YouTube, man. It's fucking great. Moving along we talked about a little bit how technology is taking over homes. And one thing I was going to ask you is about self-driving cars. Because a lot of people probably listening to this, I don't know if you guys know, but I can't drive. I am blind. I'm legally blind. I can't drive. So self-driving cars is definitely something that I'm going to look into myself. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think about self-driving cars?
I thought they already had some.
Well, they already have them. I'm saying
they do, but there's not an infrastructure for every single car.
I feel like it's kind of like when the phone first comes out. There's bugs in it. So you're just let's wait on the next, So
which is the most important reason why it's not a thing yet, is because if a bug happens, it's gonna kill people, and it's probably gonna be a lot of people.
Yeah. So I would not want to I would not want to be one of the first people to get a self-driving car. You know what I'm saying? One of the reasons I say that is because from what I understand, they follow GPS. Mm-hmm. Sometimes GPS will tell you to go this way, and there's fucking construction. So how can the car tell when there's fucking construction, dude?
Very true, man.
I do not want to be one of the first people to get that car.
Which is why...
R.I.P. to all the people that, try, but not me.
Which is why it'll start as kind of like a mass...
It'll be do it your own risk, right? It'll be your own risk, right?
It'll start as like buses or trains that are autonomous. It'll be big things that are more easily controlled, and it's it'll be once this is a problem, it's gonna be a networking issue. It's all gonna be a network, because that's all networking is routing into things and making sure they don't collide, which is exactly what autonomous cars would be. It's going to be a huge networking issue. It's going to be an engineering feat. It's going to be the hardest programming feat, and it's probably going to be the next 5 to 10 years before we kind of figure that out, because it's going to be so hard to get all these things to work together and have countermeasures so that stuff doesn't crash.
This shit's crazy.
But they're already doing it. They have big semis already. being autonomous so that drivers can, get a little break from, like, actually having to, like, be completely attentive of, like, all the
But even
time.
then, that's going to, like, when they figure out how to do that, they're not going to need drivers anymore.
Exactly.
They're going to be out of jobs.
A lot of people are going to be out of jobs, but, like, that's why all the people should start going towards help making these things. That's your best chance, is to help make these things to replace other people, or else you're going to get replaced.
This is some Terminator type shit,
This
bro.
is some Terminator stuff.
So,
Like
you
I
think,
said, Microsoft wants you to learn about it.
you think this would
Yeah,
be...
Like the same
you
thing.
think... Alright,
People need to
because
learn
I have
how
a
to
theory...
make these things so they don't get replaced.
I have a theory, right? When it comes to, like, movies, I feel like Hollywood kind of throws a little bit of reality into their movies to kind of desensitize us to these ideas. That's just... I've always thought that. So do you think there is a possibility of there being, like, Terminators type shit? Like, obviously not, Arnold Schwarzenegger coming back from the future, but do you think there's a chance... Like some iRobot. You think the robots are going to try and take over us?
Elon Musk is afraid of AI, and I think we all should be too. He's so famous and has so much money that he has probably seen more stuff than any of us could have imagined, technology-wise. Some people have probably invited them over to their house and just to flex their technology on Elon Musk, just to be like, yo, dude, check this out. He's probably seen so much stuff, and if he's afraid of AI, I believe him. Because, like, it's definitely, there's so much faster than us, and they remember so much better than us, and, like, eventually they'll either replace us or we're going to have to join them. It's like, you can't beat them, join them. We're going to have to, like, integrate ourselves. If we can't get our biological brains to use our full brain capacity somehow, we're going to have to integrate with computers, because that's the only, like, that's the quickest way for us not to be, like, extinct.
What do you think of, like, I don't know if I've had this conversation with you, but I've definitely had this conversation about them putting our brain in, like, a computer
Yeah,
in order
people
for
are
us
doing that now.
in order for us to, like, I don't want to say live forever. That sounds weird, but, like, pretty much, yeah, live forever, because they put our brain in a computer.
I think people are really trying to do that now, and I don't know if they've been quite, like, successful about how much they've gotten to stick, but I know that people are trying. I've seen certain articles that people have done, like, stuff and studies, and have tried to put people's consciousness, but...
Yeah, the conscious, sorry, not brain, conscious.
But the
There you go.
consciousness is so hard to get to, like, stick, because, like, the craziest thing about our brains is, like, our brains are made of neurons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neurons and their biological base of a cell are only used for movement. Their only purpose, neurons are only supposed to be used for movement only. Yet our neurons combine together to this complex mass of a brain, which allows consciousness, thought, creativity, emotion, feeling, receives senses, receives your hearing, your sight, like everything.
Mhm.
Like, how crazy is that? Like, something that could only just move like a worm through, like, water, came all the way to being able to create a consciousness. Like, how has that happened? Like, that's another whole mystery of, like, the universe, is, like, the human brain. There's a whole nother avenue, and it's
crazy that we don't even use all of our brain.
we don't even use our full brain capacity. Like, if we could do
That is
some
nuts.
limitless stuff, dude.
Right?
Let me tell you, dude, I'd be geeked out on some pills.
Oh yeah. Oh, you've seen Limitless?
Yes, dude. I
fuck
watched
yeah.
the show too, man. It was good, dude. I wish I could do something to where, like, everything I've ever seen in my entire life, I have full recall, which it's called a full recall, which is having 100% recall of everything that's ever happened. Which, being able to do that,
You would want
almost
that?
Yeah.
Well, what about
Fuck
all those
yeah.
scary, like, traumatizing things
I don't
that
give a
someone
fuck,
could
man.
experience?
I could literally, like, flip through a book and, like, stop time and look at every page, and, like, that's basically what you could do if you had full recall. You could go back and look at everything that's ever happened. You remember, like, imagine being able to remember every single detail, like this drip of water in the exact shape, every page, every word, every letter you've ever read.
I feel like people would think I'm annoying.
Dude, you probably would, because you'd be such a smartass.
Yeah.
You'd be such a
You'd have
It's
to
just
be.
funny because, like, I almost forgot about Limitless. I started the show, and I got really into it, and then something happened. I think I just took a
Watch
break
the
from
movie
watching
and then
shit.
go back.
Oh, so you don't watch? You're talking about the movie, or you're talking about the show?
Both, dude. I like them
Okay.
both. I've seen. No, I've.
Does the movie relate to the show?
Yeah, he mentions that you see him.
Okay.
Um,
I've never seen Limitless. So I don't
what's
know.
his name? Bradley Cooper is in the show. Like, he makes little cameos. He comes in. That's where he gets his stuff from. He gets it from Bradley Cooper from the movie. That's where he gets his NZT from. That's why he gets to do it.
I'm gonna have to watch it. Never seen it.
Y'all
It's a
should
good
watch
show.
it.
I
It's a
started
good
watching
show.
it, and I
it's
think
like a
I
detective show if you're like super smart.
Yeah.
It's super sweet, man. I didn't like watch like the very last episode for some reason. I like watched all of them except for the last episode.
Really?
You left off on a
like,
cliffhanger.
Some
dude.
traumatic like stuff happened in my life. I was in college, so I just didn't finish it.
Damn, so you'll never know what happened. Man.
Well, it's on Netflix. I'm about to go back and watch it tonight. You guys inspired me.
Yeah, good thing we inspired you to go watch it. Dude.
But the movie's really good. I would watch the movie because it kind of sets the basis of what he's gonna like be going.
So since we are talking about movies, I talked about the Terminator.
Mhm.
What do you think of what I just said a minute ago, of them putting stuff in movies to kind of get us desensitized to these ideas, like Aliens, for example?
No, I agree with you.
Like, I mean, if us not knowing any knowledge about aliens, and if they just landed, there would be like a mass panic. We'd be like, oh my god, this... Yeah, but since we've seen movies and we're desensitized to the idea of aliens, obviously there'd still be a panic, but we kind of get the idea of what an alien is because of Hollywood.
100%
Because of what they've put in movies.
100% agree with you. Why would you not think that the government could have a hand in, the media? Like, stuff that gets literally produced to everyone in the entire nation. It is literally...
And you gotta
it goes
think...
global, actually.
And you gotta think, some of the ideas that they come up with in these movies, you gotta be either really fucked up or really stoned to come up with these ideas.
And a
You know
lot
what
of
I'm saying?
stuff that we're like our technology now kind of follows old movies. Like, we're catching up to the movies that we made.
That's what I'm
back in
saying,
the day.
yeah,
Like, old
we-
Star Trek, we're past all of that stuff now. We have all that technology, except for like the warp drives and stuff. But we have the equations for them. Like, we can do that. We just don't know how to get the negative energy. All the
So
negative
someone was inspired by Star Trek.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To look into these things and make
I
it a
think we
thing.
knew a lot more stuff in the past
Back
than
then
we thought
than
did.
we
Like,
really did.
Einstein was in his prime in like the 1920s. That's when he started publishing like all of his stuff that revolutionized the world and helped explain everything. It was like 1920s, dude. In 1944, he dropped nukes on Japan. Like, he was alive and he did some amazing stuff. He knew a lot of stuff, and we knew a lot more stuff than we give ourselves credit for. And I think that's due to the government hiding it from us a little bit. But now that we're past all of it, we're like, oh yeah, we knew all this stuff. They literally hid quantum mechanics they prohibited, in the 1980s, they prohibited, maybe 70s, they prohibited anyone from publishing anything related to quantum mechanics. If you sent it to be published, they would deny it. You would throw it down, throw it in the trash, and get rid of anything that you tried to publish.
And I'm imagining
about
you'd
quantum
either
mechanics.
get blackballed or blacklisted, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
everything
For
you
even
got
trying
to
to
even
publish
try.
it.
Which is one of my things on my list is the Searle generator, which is this old man named Searle who theorized this magnet generator, which is a bunch of series of magnets revolving around each other, and they use each other's momentum, and it amplifies to another ring, and amplifies to another ring, and it's supposedly the most efficient, like, free energy. Like, you could get infinite amount of energy out of this because it's a frictionless machine. There's no friction out of it.
Mm.
So you can technically get infinite amount of energy out of it because there's just magnets revolving on themselves, and he was...
And why isn't this around everywhere?
Because it was suppressed by the government. He says it was suppressed by the government. They took his machine away one time. He tried to build another one. Well, one of them, like, this whole machine was, like, so complex that it would make so much energy that it would, like, do what was become called a superconductor, and it would flip the ionization of the air around it. So, like, all of the energy around it would flip. So, like, positives and negatives would flip, which gave it flight, and it just took off into space, and like he never saw it again. So one of his
What?
machines just disappeared into the sky because he got it to work so well. But
Or it was an alien that was like, I need that.
and like I think this is like a key to UFOs, because like if it was at the center of like a UFO and like Because technically it could give you infinite amount of energy, and with infinite amount of energy you could do anything you want to, basically. And like physics, you could do anything with the infinite amount of energy. But this was the serial generator, and it's just magnets around rings of like certain types of magnets. It was copper and like graphene, and then something else in the middle, and then these little like batteries. Think of like a D battery, but a bunch of them rotating around a ring, and then outside of that is another ring with a bunch of batteries around that ring, and it would go out more, and each ring would amplify it to make it even stronger and stronger and stronger, and it supposedly gave you an infinite amount of energy. And it's on YouTube. It's called the Searle generator, SEARL generator, and it's a crazy concept, and the hardest part is that you have to program.
Jose, I love how Jose is writing this stuff down.
You have to program magnetic fields, which, guess what magnetic fields and what their properties are revolved around? Just guess.
The government.
No.
Oh.
It's something that I started this whole podcast with.
Oh, quantum mechanics.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we went
Good
full
shit,
circle.
Memo.
We went full circle.
circle.
Fuck yeah, dude. We went full circle,
circle.
dude.
The magnetic fields that surround any magnet is a quantum mechanic relationship. It is quantum because it is an invisible field around the object. Because if you can't see it, it's a quantum. It's a quantum thing. It's a quantum interaction. Which every atom and every substance and everything and all of matter and all of space
Grab me one, fool.
is a magnet. Everything has a magnetic force up or down, which is a binary code. So everything's basically a binary, which is why quantum mechanics helps explain that we're in a simulation.
We're in a simulation.
That would be trippy.
That's
there's
fucking scary.
There's a bunch of people who believe strongly that we are in a computer.
I wouldn't fucking doubt it, dude. That's fucking.
We're just a simulation.
I've had this thought before.
No, dude.
It was probably back in my stoner days.
I've definitely had one of those theories. Oh, there's no more beer, Brett. We've down a lot. Here, you're the guest.
No,
I'll let you have my last beer. No,
no.
you're the guest. You can have my beer.
Are you sure?
Yes, you can have my beer. You're the guest.
This is the last
We
crack.
still have 17 minutes.
Last crack right here. Jose,
Ready?
do the honors.
Go.
Oh my god. I've had thoughts of that when I was like, maybe back in high school, that I was like, what if when I'm sleeping, that's reality, and when I'm awake, that's actually me dreaming? So this is actually like on a whole new level. We're like computers now.
I've thought about that before. What I've also thought is that the dreamscape is also your connection to your multiverse. It's like you're going and visiting all your multiverses.
Dude.
That'd be fucking insane.
Which is why they're so confusing and like weird, but it's also familiar.
My
because
multiverses are so much better than real life.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
If you think if there's infinite possibilities, why did not all that real shit actually happen? Like you're like sitting here with your friend and you look to your left, there's like Kermit the Frog. You're like, dude, what's up, Kermit? And you're like. Like some crazy shit. Like one time in a dream, I was in an old western. Everything was black and white except for this big $100 bill. He came walking across like my face, and it's just like, and then Abraham Lincoln came by, and then the Power Rangers came down from the top. Like, dude, some crazy shit was happening. Like, I've had dreams about, dude.
That's an amazing dream.
Yeah, dude, it was a pretty dope dream.
I
Honestly,
don't think I have one that tops old western themes.
Power Rangers.
But I've had
Abraham Lincoln.
Insane. I even had it was Benjamin Franklin because he was on the $100 bill. So Benjamin was talking to me from the $100 bill. It was pretty crazy.
That's nuts.
And
See, I've been taking like melatonin pills, I think it's called, and they help me sleep because I have a bad problem with like insomnia and shit.
Yeah.
And my dreams are so much more vivid now from overusing them.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I take a couple, I'll daydream while I'm awake, basically. I'll be tossing and turning and I can feel myself still awake, but I'm literally still having these dreams.
Yeah.
So I have to take a little bit more for me to actually fall asleep. But my dreams are so much more vivid, I can remember them now and shit.
You should look up stuff about trying to lucid dream because
Okay, so yeah, no, I was gonna say,
if
you listen to the episode that we did when I interviewed Jose actually does lucid dream, or at least I don't know if it's lucid dream, but he's like asleep, or like, but his mind's awake, kind of thing.
That's like there's a whole science behind that, psychology and stuff. It's like a chemical imbalance in your head, which is why you're taking melatonin to try and help balance that. And it's like the chemical to like put you to sleep is not there, but the one to paralyze your body is. You know what I mean? So, like, your body's paralyzed, your eyes can't open, you can't move, you can't do anything but, like, close your eyes and sit there. But at the same time, you're technically conscious, but you're not asleep, but you can also see the dreams. So it's like a fine line between, but, you know, it's really funny, everything comes back to quantum mechanics because it's full.
This motherfucker, bro.
It's like, he's like advertising for it at this point.
Quantum mechanics.
Like, no, but I'm so interested now that I'll probably stay up until 6 a.m. looking this shit up on YouTube, dude.
Let me tell you.
Oh
dude.
my god.
He stood up now. He's excited.
Quantum mechanics is all about the waves. And your brain emits brain waves. And
I wish I could see him.
emits
Sit down, dude.
radio
Sit down.
waves.
You're making me nervous, bro.
It emits radio waves. So technically, your brain operates on a quantum function with quantum.
Bro,
Yes.
you need to sit down. You're tripping
That's
me
why I
out.
had to stand up for this
He's
shit, dog.
excited, dude.
This is like, I haven't even thought about this.
Pay
yet. This
attention.
This is. Let me write this on the whiteboard over here.
Okay, I do. I got it right here.
Yeah,
I'll
you-
write it back down.
So we've unlocked something in Brett right now.
Let me tell you guys. So, the most important thing that I think is the most important thing that to learn if you really want to get in the details of this quantum mechanics is like the quarks and the subparticles of everything, because that is like we're getting closer and closer and closer to the truth. Now we know that 12 fields exist with 12 particles that interact on separate fields, plus one, which is the Higgs boson and the Higgs field. So we have 13 fields, and technically there's 4 forces, which is like positive, negative. I'd have to watch the video again because there's like electromagnetic and thermal or something. I don't know.
Mm.
But there's like 4 forces, 13 fields, and we find a new one with each particle we find, because each particle has to like interact with a new field, which the theory, all of these theories is called quantum field theory, which is the theory of all these fields being here and like, you know, everywhere, like the gluon field of everything fluctuating. Like there's no such thing as empty space everywhere, anywhere. And these things push our quarks, which are the bases of our neutrons and protons, together. And that the fact that these protons and neutrons, quarks, the quarks of each proton and neutron are together, gives our mass according to the Higgs field, which oscillates with all the other particles, which it gets so confusing, which is why like the math is so hard. But like basically the fact that the outside oscillating area pushes everything together gives it its property. Is really hard like concept to get past, but like there's no such thing as like stuff like having mass. It's just the concentration of energy is what is mass. Energy is mass together. We're all mass because we're energy. All of our cells produce energy, which gives us our mass, which is why we have mass, because we are energy. We are just little energy machines.
So I have a lot of energy going
You got a
on right
lot
now.
of energy, Jose, bro. You got all the energy, bro. Big dick energy over there.
I got a lot of good beer energy over here, dude.
Technically, yes. But the cusp of all of this science, the stuff that no one even knows about, is the opposites of everything that I just talked about. So everything that I just talked about, there is an anti-something that we can't even conceive. The hardest part, everyone thinks we live in what, like a 3-dimensional world?
Mm-hmm.
It's false. We live in a 3-dimensional plus 1 world.
So
So
4
we-
dimension.
We live... No, it's not
I
the
watched a
fourth
video
dimension.
on the 4th dimension the other day.
4th dimension is completely different from the 3rd dimension. We are 3-dimension plus 1 because time and space. Remember I talked about space-time? Because how they're related? So space-time is its own dimension. It's like its own thing. So we're 3 dimensions of space. Up, left, right. You know, up, down, left, right. 3 dimensions of space in 3D plus time. Time is the 1. Time is the plus 1. Time and space is the plus 1. But we're in the 3D space.
Hmm.
And there's technically infinite amount of dimensions. You could be a 4 dimension, 5th dimension, 6, 7, 8, all the way up. Infinite amount of dimensions. If you watch Interstellar, he's technically in the 4th dimension. That's why he's able to transverse time and space so easily. Why he's able to communicate with you from the very beginning of the movie is because he's now probably surpassed time. Like he's probably not even correlated by time because he's in the fourth dimension without time. There's not a +1 to a 4. It's just he's just 4 now. It's not 3 + 1, and it's like it's in all the physics, all the math. Like if you're talking about dimensions of space, we're in a 3 + 1 dimension. If you're in a 4 dimensions, you're in a 4 dimension. It goes up.
You get so excited about this, dude. I love it.
I'm sorry.
I love it.
I get
dude.
so nerdy about this.
I love the energy going on right here.
Yeah, dude.
This is energy because this is the knowledge. It's coming in, or I don't know where it's coming from, dude. It's just
I'm transferring
This
some
is
of
the
my
energy.
dude.
Bring me the
I'm
mass.
transferring the mass of energy this way, dude.
I love it, dude.
So what are your
I don't know what I can
Sit
do.
down,
I
Brett.
ask you-
Sit down. You're making me fucking
wanna
nervous,
I feel
bro.
better standing up.
No, you make me
I
fucking
wanna stand
nervous,
up,
bro.
dude. I've been standing up all day. I
Bro,
wanna
it
keep
feels
going.
good.
So,
Fuck you guys.
do you have like a favorite list of movies
Dude,
about these subjects, or like what are your favorite movies? They probably have nothing to do with this,
nothing.
and so you don't have like you just brought up Interstellar. Like there are obviously movies on subjects.
The only
like
reason
this.
why I bring up Interstellar because it is probably the most mathematically and theoretically accurate movie out there. 100%.
Really?
100%. The director does his homework. He did all his math. It is all strictly by the physics and the equations. He did everything by the book.
So it comes to a dead end.
He comes to a dead end. We come back to quantum mechanics every time. Because everyone's like, fuck, bro, that shit's hard. You gonna do that shit? And I'm like,
I'm not doing that shit.
bro. Einstein was like, bro, I ain't doing this shit. He's like,
I know you brought it up
This
earlier.
shit
You're
don't
like
make sense.
you're like Einstein was just like, don't go there.
Einstein
Don't
literally
do it.
called entanglement spooky action at a distance. He was like, dude, no, that's spooky. That's too spooky. That can't happen.
Too
That is
spooky for
not
Einstein.
Too spooky for Einstein, and we're fucking with it nowadays. Like, we're getting places. If we could just think, like, at the basis of entanglement, if we could use entanglement fully to do it with whatever we wanted. Say me and you could entangle ourselves, or you
Oh,
could entangle
God.
yourself
That
with
sounds dirty,
something
dude.
and send it across the galaxy, right?
It'd
Send
be-
it all the way across the galaxy, and then you activate some protocol to collapse the wave function to where you teleport to the other side of the universe. Because technically, if one's here and one's there and you're entangled, you're not here or there. You're in both places technically. And if you measure there to yourself, then you could technically teleport
You
to the other
fucking,
side
you're
of the
losing me, bro.
universe.
You are losing me right now.
That's the proposition of entanglement. That has nothing
So
to do
you're
with
saying you and Memo
superposition.
confused together?
Me and Memo confused together, and we could send me and Memo's
We'd be
entangled ball
We would
to
be
the
beautiful,
other
by
side
the
of the
way.
universe, right? And then someone was sitting on the other side of the universe. It was like looking at this ball, and it showed up, and like Memo was there, and he'd be like, "Oh shit, what's up, Memo? Memo, you would have just transported across the entire universe faster than the speed of light."
Damn.
And I would still be at Earth. But if he would have saw me there, then... But it's a 50% chance, which is why multiverse is technically possible, and which is why a simulation could technically be possible, because there can be multiple operations.
And it all comes back to quantum mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo.
Baby, dude, it all comes back full circle. Funny thing about circles.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
It's in all the quantum mechanics because everything's spherical. Everything has to do with spheres, which has to do with circles, which has to do with multiple circles.
For all you fucking flat Earth
Flat earthers,
motherfuckers,
y'all are dumb.
I don't know how anyone could ever believe
Earth
in
is a
flat Earth.
sphere.
How the what are you, Christopher Columbus? Like, get out of here, dude.
I don't know how anyone could ever believe in the flat Earth.
Have you not
fucking-
seen a round sun, a round moon?
No, dude, it's a flat sun, bro. What you want? What you talking about?
I saw a thing that they're doing like.
Are they like really strictly 2D people? Like they're just like 2D only, dude. Like I only play 2D games.
I saw a thing where
and,
they like people are like really like petitioning for like a movie or whatever
For flat earthers?
for people like trying to like flat Earth believers that are trying to find like the edge of the Earth and shit.
Oh my god!
Good luck.
I
man.
hate where we're going right now.
No, like I think they're making fun of them, like trying like people
Yeah.
those people like trying to look for it, like.
You think if the Earth really was flat, we would have fell off by now?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Crazy thing, if you want to go philosophy on y'all motherfuckers.
Let's do it.
Technically speaking, on a philosophy standpoint, how do you know the maps are actually what they say they are? It could be a propaganda front. It could be, have you ever been across the seas, left, right, north, south?
I think
Oh,
flat,
dude,
I
you're
think
right, you know
flat
what?
earthers have just looked at a map
Have you ever
and they're
been
just like,
there?
"Yep."
They've just been like, print this, tell everyone. And just slide it to everyone and be like, this is what the world will
I
be.
just want to know how, like, this
How would
theory...
you know if they
I want to
left
know how
something
this
off?
theory caught, like, fire. Like, how everyone was like, bro, flat Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does something like this catch fire to, like, the fact that millions of people believe it's true?
It's the internet. The
You know, I
internet's
think most
the
of their
devil, dude.
arguments, the internet,
It probably started as a Facebook group.
most of their arguments
The
are like,
flat Earthers.
I've seen this post. It's like, look at that, round earthers. It's like just a flat horizon. Like, the world's flat. How come this horizon's not flat or like not round or something?
This is stupid, dude.
They're just like, really? You just?
This is definitely the most educated episode we've had. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll come back and teach y'all some more. We'll get more once I learn some more.
We've had
I need some YouTube links, dude.
yeah, send us some
You're
YouTube.
gonna have to give us some YouTube
I'll
links
put
to
them.
post on the
I'll
description.
post so everyone can catch up.
We're gonna have to put some on.
It's gonna be
the
quite a few
description.
hours for everyone to catch up, but I think like if I post them all in there, I got a history on my YouTube. Like it's fucking done deal. I got
Just
all
hit the
those.
comments, dude. Start posting all your links in the
Yeah,
comments.
Just look for Dope Enterprise. It's me. I'll be commenting links.
But yeah, Brett, I'm glad you came on, dude. It's been fun. I don't know. I mean, we could probably keep going.
We could go for hours. Honestly,
We
I
could.
keep talking.
Is
I'll
there
just have to
something
come
you want
back.
to throw in real quick? You might have missed, or we just looked over.
Let me look at the list real quick. See if I lost anything. No, I got pretty.
Covered pretty much everything.
The
You
only
said
thing
what you wanted to say.
The only thing I didn't talk about was fusion energy, but that's.
I thought that's what you were saying. Y'all fusing together like Dragon Ball Z.
That's entanglement, dog.
Oh, I thought
Fusion.
y'all two were fusing together.
No, wrong thing, man.
That's not fusion. That's
Keep up, man.
entanglement. But
Keep up. But
Keep up.
no, dude.
we could talk about fusion next time, and we'll talk about.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll definitely have you on another episode because, I mean, you've only had class for 2 days and you've already learned so much. So I can only imagine at the end of the summer what it will be like.
Yeah, I'll
So-
teach everyone because I'm taking like a security to networks class. So it's like how to secure networks.
So define networks real quick. Because when you said networking earlier, I thought you meant literally like networking with like other people.
What? Have you not been listening this
No,
whole
I
time?
have. No, but at the beginning when he brought up, I'm taking a networking class. I thought he meant like networking with others. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
I feel no. It's
I
the
thought that's
same
what he
thing.
meant. I thought
It's
that's
the
what he
same-
was saying.
Same thing. No, like a network basically is in the 2 days that I've learned. A network basically is, in general, a bunch of computers talking to each other. More specifically, it's your home computer talking to your router that you plug your Ethernet cable or you go through Wi-Fi.
So
Wi-Fi.
it's basically the same thing. It's one person connecting with others, and branching out. But you're talking about like solely like internet. You know. Okay, that
I'm
makes
talking
more
about
sense.
like the data from one place to another.
Yeah. Did you not? Were you not listening? He
I
went over this
was.
already.
What I
No,
said.
Jose was telling
I
me.
asked for the definition because earlier when he first started, and he brought up I'm taking a networking class. I thought
okay.
he meant like
I know what you-
networking.
Okay,
like
okay.
networking.
I
with
get it now.
others,
Hey,
like-
fellers, you
Yeah,
guys
like-
wanna buy some of my wares?
Yeah, that's
I get it now. Okay.
I thought it was like some Amway like class. Like, I was like, what?
Shit. No, I was actually talking about the invisible network around us because the
Okay.
internet is kind of invisible because it uses the internet, which is servers. But servers don't necessarily mean that they're servers because servers are applications on a network. So, like, your router asks other servers for information so that it can send it back to your computer. So like the DNS server, the domain name server, domain names is like what you type into your Google search to find whatever you want, like, you know, Facebook, whatever you want.
I can just imagine Brett on like acid or something like.
Dude, I'm crazy.
Yeah, he just
You've done it?
freaked
I've
out.
only done it once.
Yeah.
Only once, and it was
He'd be like,
one of the greatest times.
He'd
of my
be like,
life,
I'm in the quantum realm.
That's before I was even too much into this stuff. I knew a little bit about it, but like I was really into Li-Fi and about making the internet faster, and that's why I'm starting to learn more about networks so that I can introduce.
So, what is your goal taking these networking classes?
I wanna, honestly, I'm a retard, but I really want to make a bunch of companies.
Okay.
I want to make a wireless network company because I think we're all getting screwed by our wireless network companies by speed, reliability. Just think, if your internet goes down, how much money do you get back for the time that you lose from your internet?
Oh, dude, my cable went out for like a week.
Zero!
Yeah, my cable went out for like a week, and I was like, I can't get any of that time back. Like,
Zero.
and they're like, no,
You get
fuck
no,
you. Like, yeah.
There's no fault.
You should have paid the bill, man.
No,
There's
it's
fault
not.
system for
No.
the wireless company. If their systems go down and it's not your fault at all,
Yeah.
they don't recompensate.
I remember
you
one time there was
whatsoever.
a storm, and
Never.
it knocked out our shit for like a day or two. And I was
The
like,
guy
dude,
didn't come out like 3 weeks later or a month, huh? Dude, they
Eh.
took us like 2 months to bury an internet wire in our backyard, dude. It takes forever for anyone to do anything. I want to fix
but we
that
still get
shit.
paid for it, or we still get charged for that.
Yeah,
kind
you
of
get
shit.
charged for all the time that you're down. You don't ever get, like, dude, they don't ever cancel your, like, subscription. You're always paying for the time, even if you don't have service.
Mhm.
So I want to end that entirely and have a great customer service with the CRM relationship software, which is like customer relationship software, and it like helps keep track of everyone's data so that you know what the problem is when you first interact with it. But I just want to be a really reliable wireless company first off, and I want to design cars and design technology. Honestly, I want to innovate off of everyone. I want to just take what everyone has and just make it better, and just be a company
Build
that
off of
helps
it.
make everyone else's stuff better. Maybe not necessarily competing with everyone, but maybe like collaborating with other companies to help make them better and make better technology for everyone, and just be a technology company that helps everyone. Also, maybe a banking company, an insurance company.
I'm curious.
At
to
least
see
you're building
where
it. That's cool. Like,
this
I love
takes
it.
you, dude.
I love it because you're driven. You're like, you have an idea. You just need to find the right way to make your ideas happen.
I need capital. I need investors, to be honest. Like, I need people.
Oh god, this is Amway. Oh my god, no, it turned into Amway.
I'm just being honest. Like, the only way that I could go forward is with money, and it is the saddest and most terrible way
But
to
it's
go
the truth,
forward. But it's
yeah.
the truth. Like, the world revolves around money. My PSN name that I run on is Money333 because I knew as a kid that the world revolves around money. It always will. It's always a currency. It's a gain. It's a profit. It's everything. And all this technology is like yes and no, but technology changes everything.
I feel like I know some wealthy stoners that will throw some money your way. I used to work at a country club.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's money being thrown around everywhere. I feel like if you just sat down and drank with one of these guys and told them these ideas,
They would invest in
that
you, dude.
someone would invest in you.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to come.
I think I can help
actually
you out.
know people that live in that neighborhood that where you work, in the trophy club. So I'm actually gonna go hit there pretty soon this summer, and maybe let's do that.
Do some networking, dude.
Do some networking.
Yeah.
let's say, let's do
Some
that.
other networking.
Yeah.
Like,
not the mechanical
Yeah.
side. We're not technology. We're gonna do some people networking.
That's good, man. I love it because he's motivated. But
and I'm gonna need a job in about 15 years.
yeah, dude,
I don't even
hire
have a
me,
job,
bro. I'll
so
be
I'm trying to make
I'll
one
be
of
your
myself.
public relations officer or whatever.
Do you
bro. I
hire
got you.
felons? Is the first question I have for you.
If you're real with me, then we cool. We good.
Okay, I'm
You gotta
going all
see
the
me
way in.
face to face. You gotta see the boss face to face, though.
Mm.
Like, and I gotta judge you personally.
Well,
But,
I mean,
'cause
you
know
know,
good people when I see them.
you know us, so.
I got y'all. I got y'all in the future. If y'all,
And it's on
if y'all-
recording. So if you
y'all
try to
really
back out,
think-
I got a verbal agreement on recording right now.
Okay, let me just ask this right now.
Yes, I'm
Y'all
on.
really believe that I could get these companies off the ground?
Yes.
If you put your mind on it, you
guys
meet the
think
right
I could
people.
do this
Just like we
stuff
said
by
earlier,
myself?
You meet the right
anything is
people. Yeah,
possible.
you meet the right people. You get the right investments. You have the ideas. You could get it done.
Everything starts in a garage.
One of the
We're in one right now. I'm telling you.
the Deus Ex.
The Deus Ex, dude. Think about it. Everything starts. Look at Steve Jobs. Everything starts in a garage.
It does start in a garage.
You
And
know,
this is
it's
me
just you
for the first time putting
spitting
my
out-
ideas on record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't
So-
let nobody steal this shit. This is trademarked, all right?
Yeah. trademark.
Ain't nobody better know starting a wireless company off this shit.
It's okay. They don't know half the shit they need to know. We're good.
So-
But I think I could, but it's all about the capital and the money. And I'm gonna have to get some small loans of $1 million and
Some small loans. Oh my god. It's $1 million, isn't it?
It really
It
isn't.
could happen, but like
It really isn't.
I wish I could work for like a think tank and just like be a person that thinks of creative ideas for random solutions all the time, or like what Einstein did when he got older and towards the end of his career. He went and worked at the patent office and received every patent that ever came through the office just so that he could see all the new technology that was coming through. Because that's the most current technology there is to date, is being at the patent office.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You see a patent that's before they even really build one. They're like building it and they're trying to protect themselves at the same time. So like that would be pretty cool of a job.
Okay, to kind of wind this down, because I don't want this to be like
Hashtag find
I don't
better
want
job.
this to be a 2-hour long podcast. To wind this down, because we talked about technology, we talked about all these things. In the next 10 years, where do you see our technology?
I don't know. I think
Such a hard question.
it is a hard question because
Because if you think to 10 years ago,
10 years ago,
how
shit
different our
changed.
technology was to now.
It's almost so different until you get to the code. Then it's the same.
Mm.
So that is what's going to have to change for stuff to really get up there, which I think will, because we're going to have to change to a new IP version because we're running out of IP addresses and stuff. But I think autonomous technology, fusion energy, which we didn't get to talk about, which is basically an unlimited clean energy source, which is basically creating a mini sun on the earth and harnessing that heat energy and converting it into energy that we can use. But with that plus Li-Fi, which is an extra, it's basically like having an internet connection at the speed of light instead of having like 15 megabytes per second from AT&T. Imagine having infinite amount of megabytes and everything that you ever downloaded was instant. That's what's going to be the next thing. That's what's holding everything back, is our internet connection and our speed, and it only gets faster over the course of time. Maybe with quantum mechanics and quantum computers, we could get better.
It went
as
back to
well.
the quantum mechanics,
Full
bro.
circle.
Yes.
Because with the quantum system in a network, you could technically go all routes at the same time, find all the solutions, and then take that one route and never actually take another route again, because you're using superpositioning and entanglement to do what you need to do. So everything is going to come full circle to quantum computers, and everything's going to be connected at your home. Your way to work, you'll never have to probably drive again. You'll have an autonomous car. You'll have either a family car, or rich families will probably have multiple cars for each household, you know. It's like,
What is that word?
Autonomous.
Autonomous? You have an autonomous family, dude.
Autonomous
You won't even have to
families.
work. You don't even have to
You won't
worry
even
about
have
them bitching, bro.
Yeah.
They're gonna cook for you. They're not gonna
Just the-
complain about their problems.
One thing I see in the future is like the kitchen. Just think like all like little like movies and
It's
stuff.
like that movie Smart House, where they literally it literally
Everything's
just
gonna have to
popped
be-
out in the microwave.
Exactly.
Like, you just
Everything's gonna
ordered what you
come
wanted
down
and it's
to
right there.
one machine. The kitchen is multiple machines right now. That's gonna become one eventually. Eventually, maybe not 10 years, maybe not 20. It'll all become one machine, and everything will be either, you know, just one single thing, and it'll all be one process, and
God.
everything's gonna be all.
Well,
simplified.
I know
I hope all the smart stuff.
yeah, I'm excited, dude. I'm excited for
Because
whatever.
I think they were really like me, like listening to this. Like I already wrote some shit down. Like I want to go
you
back
want to go and research
and
this shit,
just
huh?
look it up a little bit. You know, what
I'll
I'm
try
saying?
and post my links as soon as I can, because I'm really interested in all this stuff, and really understanding the basics of everything is the key to getting a better grasp. And then the more videos you watch, you already understand the basics, and you understand what that person's talking about, and then you're like, oh shit, and then you're like, wait, you're making subtle connections between this and that, and you're like, negative energy, antimatter, quarks, neutrons, negative invisible fields, electromagnetics, and you're like, I could even talk about our senses, like our perception. We only see 5 senses. Like, just think, like we only see of the electromagnetic spectrum like a centimeter of the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have organs to receive all the information that's out there, which is why the invisible fields are invisible to us. We can't read that stuff. We're just now starting to read gravity waves in Louisiana, and we just really recorded the first 2 black holes that ever conjoined together and they made gravity waves, and we felt them here on Earth. And it was the first ever gravity waves ever, and it was in like 2015 or 2016. First time ever we ever recorded gravity waves, and it proved that gravity is a wave. Quantum mechanics.
Yes, dude. I love it, Brett.
Great wave.
We're gonna have to.
Quantum mechanics.
We're definitely gonna have to bring you back on a part 2, dude. I love it. I hope some people listening learned a thing or two about this. They might have to listen to it. They're gonna have to listen to it a couple of times.
Rewind it.
Yeah, rewind it to kind of get it all to sink in. But dude, just us being drunk and sitting here talking to you is definitely got the juices flowing. You know what I'm saying? So I love it. We're definitely gonna have you on another episode. When you finish your classes, we'll get you on another one. I don't have any more beer, but you guys can toast. We got a cheers to the podcast. Yeah, the beer's gone. You guys will have to do it for me. So,
time to bring the tequila out.
Yeah, we
have a farewell, a salute.
No, dude, no. I work in the morning, dude. I can't be doing that. But yeah, dude. Thank you for coming on. We'll definitely have you on again.
No problem, man.
And I think that's it for the episode, guys. So, till next time, adios.